Alright guys, before we get into this week's video, which is a Cosmo deck profile, hopefully you guys will enjoy it. I want to go ahead and talk about the giveaway from last week. We're giving away $20, whether Cash App, Venmo, Amazon, whatever it was. Little something to give back and show some support to a friend as well. I asked you guys to check out the Emancipator deck profile video and go over to my friend Nicole's Twitch page. Give that a follow, and then post a comment on the video to let me know you entered. We had 31, well, 32 technically comments, but I believe the total number of entrants was a little bit less. So I'm going to went ahead and put the link into the YouTube random comment picker here. The first one that comes up is going to be the one that we do select, and this will be sort of a live reveal for all of us as it loads. So the winner will be randomly selected, as you can see, the Boss 1762. Again, that's the Boss 1762. If you're watching this video, please feel free to shoot me a message over on YouTube so that we can go ahead and get that set up, figure out how you want to get your winnings and what method you'd like. Again, thanks to everyone who entered. It was nice to see a turnout like that, and we will have more coming in the future. Next weekend's video will announce the next giveaway, so definitely keep it tuned to the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do so. That way you'll be notified whenever a new video is posted. So again, the Boss 1762 has won this contest, and we'll be getting in contact with you shortly to go ahead and arrange your prize. Well, thank you guys for checking out this. Now stay tuned for the Cosmo deck profile. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Loveshack, and today I have a deck profile video for you. Now, normally I like to do the deck profile videos with physical cards in person, just kind of my preference. Right now, it's been extremely tough to get my hands on anything that we're sort of looking to go through and build. So I figured for this week's video, and maybe next week's, depending on what the content is, we'll do some virtual Dev Pro profiles, which will be cool because I'm going to include some test hands in the video too, just to sort of get a sense for how the deck actually functions. So maybe that's something that'll interest you guys. I'm not sure. Some people may just skip through the video and not even bother watching. So either way, it's here for you. We're going to do a Cosmo deck profile video today, which has always been one of my favorite decks, and definitely one of the most impactful, maybe for its time. Just pretty much an extremely dominant deck that I think still holds up pretty well. But we're going to see sort of how that will work, and I think with the next stream that we do, which will probably be tomorrow night, we'll play this deck so that I can actually kind of showcase it a little bit more. So as always, if you guys have any deck profile requests, things you want to see, deck challenges, whatever, drop a comment down below, let me know, or hit me up on any of our social media pages and let me know, and I'll see what I can put together for you. So we'll jump into the deck profile then. I'll sort of explain the rationale behind the choices a little bit and try to keep it brief but also informative for those who are interested. For the monsters, 3 Dark Destroyer. That's, again, super standard, like pretty straightforward. It's still the best card in the deck. The fact that it's untargetable is still really helpful. It can't be impermanent, it can't be veilered. Like, certain hand traps and things that would stop it are, not effective against it, which does give you some basically responsive plays that you can be a little less worried about. Obviously, the nature of Cosmo is they function on a reactive level anyway, so you don't have to worry too much about board spamming. You're really only going to have one monster on the field at a time for the most part. 2 Forerunner. I was actually looking at 1, but I decided to bump it to 2 just because it's still decent being untargetable in 2800 with the ability to also replenish your life points and, continue to cycle through your machines if one were to get destroyed or if you're playing against an opponent's heavy board. This deck is tough to OTK unless they somehow manage to banish one of your machines and then you can't kind of ladder down. 1 Dogfighter, it's a really good card. That token is even better now that you can link with it and everything, so it's definitely a solid card. It's just kind of a brick in and of itself, so I think 1 is fine. You can get it back no matter how it's sent to grave. You can revive it, you can add it back if it's banished, so I think 1 is a perfect number. 2 Slip Rider, it's still a really good card just for being reactive spell and trap disruption, as well as the fact that it can pop your own Cosmo Town to give you a search if you need to. 2300 is not terrible, so he's just pretty good all around. And then 2 Dark Lady, another one I thought about playing just 1 of, but I really like the ability to kind of negate those effects and sort of slow down what, if you have Dark Lady out and also have the ability to put a Forerunner out or Dark Destroyer, you can negate an effect and then you can pop a card as well, so you can play through, an opponent's combo a little bit more easily. As far as the lower level monsters, obviously Triple Tin Can is really kind of necessary here. It's the best card in the deck without a doubt. You get your searching, you can do it during either end phase, and he can then bop himself off the field to special something else. 1 Strawman, great card, don't really need more than 1. It doesn't make any sense to play it in multiples, and it just is fine as a utility piece on its own. 2 Farm Girl, that's pretty standard. You might even want to just play one. I just went with two because this was sort of like a let's see what we can put together kind of thing. I don't know how this deck's going to function, you know, all this time later in a new format, so we'll see. And then the one Wicked Witch, just again 1900, can protect itself from destruction. It's an alert target, and it's just overall pretty good. I went with Ash Blossom as the hand trap of choice for the monsters. Considered Ghost Ogre because it is a psychic, but the 1E Telly, like most of the time I'm going to have plenty of targets for that anyway. Phantasme is another one I thought about because the draw power and the recycling might help, but I don't know how prevalent links are going to be right now, so I decided to go with Ash. For the spells, Triple Allure, it's great in this deck and has no downside. You can banish anything and then just add it back with Cosmo Town, so it kind of makes this card a +1. Triple Extravagance, like, yes, it does kind of counteract Allure, but it's just really good to see on your opening play, or even later in the game, and you don't really go into the extra deck. I mean, as you can see, it's just kind of a mess of random cards that I threw together. You could put in whatever you want. I mean, you have a few abilities to go into things with, like, Dogfighters you can make, like Nightmare Phoenix or Cerberus or something, but for the most part, you're not really going to be going into it at all. Double Cosmic Cyclone. I just went with this over Twin Twister as a way to still have spell trap removal, like, you know, floodgates and stuff, but also for the Eldritch matchup, you don't have to worry about, you know, triggering the floating effects. 1E Telly, you'd play 3 if you could. You know, this deck is arguably the reason this card is limited in the first place. Again, just obviously a really powerful card. Triple Cosmo Town, a great card. It does so many things. Recovers your banished monsters, gives you draw power, and also lets you fix dead hands, and then if it does get popped, you get a search. So just overall really good. Triple Impermanence, another good hand trap. I mean, this deck can go first or second, but ideally you want to go first. If that's not always going to be an option to you, at least having this is good to shut off whatever might be problematic. Double Cosmojo, this card's insane. It's non-targeting removal, triggers your ship's destruction effect, so it does pretty much out anything. And then 3, there can only be 1. Most of the time, you're only going to have 1 monster on the field anyway. You're going to banish a Psychic to put a machine on the board, so it doesn't counteract with this. And this card is extremely restrictive, you know, to your opponent. So overall, it's just, there's really no reason not to maximize a floodgate like this. You could always side it out, you know, in longer games or games where maybe your opponent's not as impacted by it if you're playing against something like Guru, but for the most part, this is going to give this deck a lot of sort of slow, like it sort of slows down the other matchups to let this deck kind of play at its peak potential. So exactly 40, some of the cards I sort of considered adding that weren't, you know, added previously. Reasoning is another good card. I mean, it's just one I didn't really have the space for. I mean, you could take the Extravagance package out and play Upstart, Reasoning, and like a 40th card. I'm not really sure what. So that may be preferable for some people who don't want to lock themselves out of the draw power. But I think it's a pretty solid start to the overall deck profile, and I might sort of expound upon this and do a follow-up once I get a chance to kind of play with it a little bit more. So this is the Cosmo deck profile. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Pretty basic. It's a little bit out of my element to do this with DevPro than it is to do it, you know, with the physical cards, but hopefully it was coherent enough, and if not, you know, the screen's there so you guys can see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do some, we'll do some test hands, you know, about 5 or so test hands, and we'll see how the deck can actually kind of set up going first. Alright, so one of the cool things that DevPro has, or EDO Pro, whatever it is the ability to do test hands with the deck, and I think it's pretty cool. That's one of the things I like about the online format, is that I can sort of go through it and see how our test hands would look like and how you might make a starting play. You know, obviously the downside is that it doesn't give you any indication of what your opponent's reactions might be, but it does give you an ability to sort of set up plays. So let's just kind of do a few, go through it. You don't really like to see this early on, unfortunately, but it's definitely nice to have as an out to Mystic Mine. We'll go ahead and shuffle Dark Destroyer back in. You know, one of the other things I like that I didn't put in this initial build is Back to the Front, which is that trap. It's target 1 monster in your graveyard, special summon it. It does sort of play off of Tin Can and give you the ability to make your monsters more live, so I do like that a lot as an option. It's just something to consider. So, I mean, this isn't like the most broken opening hand by any stretch. You have some combo plays. You could pop your own Cosmo Town with Slip Rider, search something. It doesn't really feel like a worthwhile move. I'd probably just end and then, you know, see what you get off of Tin Can, and then that, you know, that could always change things too. You go with the 1, 2, and then 3 being Forerunner. It just sort of sets up, no matter how you look at it, it sets up some decently responsive plays. Having Back to the Front, though, does allow you the ability to sort of revive whatever card it is that got sent. So it's something to look at, and definitely something to look at for a future build. Let's take a look at this one. So again, this is one where like having Extravagance is really helpful. You banish the 6. Doesn't really matter. So that's going to be stuck for the time being, but it's okay because you have plenty of reaction stuff. The Cosmo just needs to play a slow game, and unfortunately that means you kind of have to maximize whatever it is you're playing. You're not going to have a ton of cards, but if you can set yourself up, you can make it tough for your opponent to actually go through. Now, this, of course, can dodge certain cards as well, being a quick effect. So, I can dodge and put Dark Lady on the board, which I think, in this case might not be the worst idea. Put that out, and then, you go and you grab Dark Destroyer. Obviously, you want things you can level Dark Lady up into. And I know the other reason for playing the second Forerunner, but we'll see what happens. I mean, anytime you can get Dark Destroyer, that's great. But, I mean, this isn't exactly a terrible board. You get the one monster negate, the Imperm, and then once you've used this negate, you can then put an untargetable Forerunner on the board, so it's pretty solid. Not the best hand ever, but, again, the ability to cycle through your machines does make it so that you can kind of survive, even if a board spams you. This one looks pretty good, actually. So, we'll set this. This is going to be just a really good card to have. I don't really want to shuffle anything in with Cosmo Town, unfortunately, because realistically speaking, like, having the Farm Girl there, you end your turn, your opponents, depending on their reactions, obviously, you have there can only be one to flip. If they do summon a monster, you pop it with Dark Destroyer, and then you've got this guy on the field who's untargetable, as well as there can only be one, so it locks them out. My only kind of qualm with Cosmo right now, too, is that it doesn't have a lot of excess resources left over once you make your opening plays, but it does sort of float to make up for that. Let's see, another one, pretty good. Definitely Allure is like really powerful in the deck. Just play Allure, banish the Dark Lady, activate Cosmo Town, you get your Dark Lady back for 500. So it's just a free sort of hand refresher there. And then in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Dark Destroyer back, and I'm actually going to put this back too. Just with the knowledge that with Tin Can at the end phase, I'm going to be able to get access to both of them probably. Cosmojo's good. You set the Imperm. So you get the Ash, the Imperm. In the ideal scenario, you're going to get Dark Lady here. Because now you set yourself up with 3 negates. But I guess it does kind of depend. And never going to hurt to have a second Destroyer, because those pops are not once per turn. And so you got some decent board presence here. You got the Imperm, you got the Ash, you got the Monster Disruption. You can kind of account for 3 of their cards at least. So it's not bad. Again, it'll be better to sort of test it in actual games as well. Opening the Allure with any Dark is awesome, obviously. As long as you have a way to get to Cosmo Town. You can see, like, a hand like this is really bad, and that will happen. Like, the deck's still really susceptible to bricking. And I wish there was a way to sort of mitigate those bricks, but there's really not. Consistency is something the deck kind of has selectively. Like, obviously, things like Cosmo Town and Tin Can increase your consistency, but other times you have just no ways to sort of further your plays. And maybe that's a way to look at something like Cyclone. If this was a reasoning, it'd be better, right? So there's definitely different aspects to the build. So hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. Like I said, just a little bit brief. I just wanted to go through a few test hands, as well as kind of show off the deck profile. I'm not like sold on this perfectly yet, but I want to play around with it more. So our next live stream will feature some Cosmo gameplay, and we'll see how it goes from there. But thank you guys so much for watching this week's video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Live streaming Dev Pro multiple times a week, right on YouTube as well as on Twitch. Socials are in the video. And congratulations again to the winner of our giveaway. Stay tuned. Next week's video, we will announce a brand new giveaway, so more to come on that. Hopefully everyone's staying safe, and I'll see you guys next time right here. Loveshack.